thinking. It says it's starting. And you are on.
Hello, folks. Welcome to our weekly meeting. I think things are progressing. I'm not sure, but I think things are progressing. As usual, we will start off with our town clerk's report for November 15th.
Alrighty. Just to recap, election was last Tuesday. We had a total of 855 total ballots cast between in-person voting and absentee ballots. We did have some issues with our ballot machine when we opened the polls. The machine did not accept any ballots. Election Division was contacted in Augusta immediately, and they sent out a technician. By around 10:30, the machine was fixed. All the ballots that were submitted into the ballot box manually were machine counted once it was fixed. And just so people realize, we do go through extensive testing a month before the election, and the machine had tested completely fine in October without any issues. The technician did indicate there was an issue with the belt when he had repaired it. So I just wanted to clarify that. There was some Facebook conversation about ballot machine not working. New town office hours, or town clerk office hours, start this week. Tonight and every Tuesday, the clerk's office will now be open until 6 p.m. Fridays, the clerk's office and whole town office will be closed, but the clerk's office will be available by appointment. We are still processing election material and information to elections. We are in need of a voter reg card scanner that actually scans the signatures. We did reach out to other town offices, and we have a few models to choose from that work well. I did provide that list to David, so hopefully we can get one ordered and installed soon. Taxes for 2022 are coming in pretty steadily. We have received around 2.8 million, which is 87% of the commitment. Taxes are due at the end of November, with interest starting to accrue on December 1st. The town office is closed next week, Thursday and Friday, for the Thanksgiving holiday. And I will be posting the updated personnel policy that the select board did approve this spring. This policy addresses holidays and inclement weather policy and extent. So that will be up on the website tonight. That's about it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Dana. I have a note here from the town clerk saying, can we mention the new personnel policy in regards to inclement weather, but I guess that was just mentioned.
Well, our first storm's coming tomorrow, so
Just check the Facebook website. That'll give you all the information that is applicable. To reiterate something that we talked about last week and the last couple weeks, the Stanley Building Collins pending motion for summary judgment has been scheduled for November 21st at 2 p.m. via Zoom. Now, you will not be able to participate in the meeting, but you certainly can listen to it. The meeting ID is 935-9751-2456. And the passcode is 884357. So now when you've all grabbed your pencils or pens, meeting ID 935-7951-2456. Passcode 884357.
It's
And-
also on the web.
Yeah, it's posted online too.
Okay, well,
Going to be an easier shot for you, as well as the link, in which case you don't need the meeting number or passcode. It just takes you right to it.
I hope you all listen to that. We've reviewed and approved last week's agenda. And we have some bills to review and approve. Let's see. This just involves the authorization to spend some money. The largest check this week is a couple of checks going out to Shakopee Rescue. One for a quarter of a used ambulance and the other for the CPR machines that will be on both ambulances. At the end of the meeting, we'll be going into executive session. Probably around 4:30 or so we'll have to shut off the microphone then. At the end of executive session, we close the meetings. However, nothing in regards to the meeting will be done after executive session, so no one will miss out on anything. We have here a draft for the special town meeting, which will be held December 6th. It should be in the next couple of shopping guides. We've talked about this before, how we're using some of the American Federal Rescue Plan funds, and a couple of changes to road closures and things like that during the winter. York County, we had their report last week. Animal Control Officer, no report this week. Planning Board, November 16th meeting. That looks like tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. I'll be there.
The Comprehensive Committee, the meeting is November 29th at 6 o'clock. Secaucus Road solar update. Dave has,
All I can say at this point is that CMP has still not done the survey that's going to be required, that is required. Not much we can do to hurry that along because we're in line with everybody else.
they did, the solar company did get approval from Shakopee River for the site. I mean, they had to get a renewal.
They got a renewal
Yeah.
approval, yeah, from the Saco River corridor.
So they're obviously still interested, and they still pay us our, I believe, $15,000 a year for the lease costs.
At least.
Maybe it's more, but
Yeah. Yep.
we have the post-closing and escrow agreement for Robinson Mill. That's one of the things we'll be going into executive session on. It's just getting the terminology and the wording in agreement between the buyer and the seller. That takes a little bit of time and effort because it is sort of a unusual type agreement, and with extra things going in like the Stanley building and that thing. So that will be most of the executive session. I think there was another executive session scheduled after that on Reed Lane. And then the meeting will close.
Ms. Hart is here. I don't know if you want to entertain any comments.
Hello, Ms. Hart, how are you?
And the intent is that after this, you have the executive session, if there's any questions or any questions, the chief will be here to answer the questions.
Ooh, okay, that's not what Ed said earlier.
Well, I
Said we were-
I said after the executive session.
We would close the meeting.
Right.
Close the executive session.
No, he said we would close the meeting.
Well-
So I need to understand what we're doing.
Is Ms. Hart's comments part of executive session or not?
No,
Huh?
no,
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 no.
Okay.
no, that's
And
our negotiation.
If Ms. Hart has any comments,
Yep,
we will entertain them after the executive session, and then we will close the meeting. Everyone
Why
feel
don't
comfortable
you-
with that?
well, why don't you entertain them now?
For questions?
Comments,
Well,
questions?
because David, our attorney wants to sit down and review everything that's been sent to us.
Beforehand.
first.
Yeah,
Then come out, I imagine he'll probably tell her where we're at, I guess, I mean, where you're at. And then she can answer the questions if there's any questions.
okay, so it's more us going to her. Okay.
Yes.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Frightening, huh?
Well, it's not what you said, Ed. I'm trying to get it clear in my mind. Thank you.
Okay, we have the Shakopee Rescue October Run Report. The Shakopee Rescue is giving us a monthly report. Number of calls, 95. And it gives, this will be on the website. Pretty, Cornish, 26 calls, Hiram, 20, Parsonsfield, 23, Porter, 24. So it's about even. Average response time is 11.3 minutes, or 11 minutes, 3 seconds. We're going to be asking rescue at the monthly meeting. I'm sure this is an average for all 4 towns. If our average time was 11 minutes and 3 seconds, I'd be overjoyed. But I think it'll be somewhat longer than that. But this information I said will be on the website. And the selectmen will be meeting with rescue November 28th to discuss that and some other things. We were going to have a workshop concerning LD 290, which is the Property Tax Stabilization Program,
No,
which
yeah.
just came into effect. Those are the forms that people over 65, homestead exemption, all that good stuff, 10 years of residency, have been filling out to stabilize their taxes for next year. If this goes through, it means if you paid $2,000 this year for taxes, you're going to pay $2,000 next year for taxes. And any difference will be, the state will refund, the plan is for the state to refund the town now. I don't know what happens if the tax rate goes down.
Your rate goes down. It'll track it going down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And this is law, Ed. It's not
Right,
if
well, I
it goes
know, but
into
there's
effect.
great concern over it
I
apparently.
understood. Okay. But this, right now, it's law.
And that's why we're filling out the forms.
Yep.
And our employee municipal health trust, which is town employees can participate in a health care plan. This gives all the options for this year. And really, last but not least, the Saco River sent us the notice that about Secaucus Solar wanting a first-time extension, and Maine Water Company wants to drill 2 wells for the municipal water system. So both those actions were approved by the Saco River Commission. Now, that's about it as far as our agenda is concerned. As I mentioned, we'll be going into executive session. Maybe we can do some things. Harvey, you got any?
I have a few updates before.
Okay, well, David, sorry, I thought
That's
you
okay.
mentioned them.
Nope. Well, I did a couple of them. Tomorrow, Revision Energy is coming out to install the communication device that is required in order to have a solar array as we have. They're going to try and make do with the equipment that's there, which will end up just being I believe it was a $400 fee. If they have to install new equipment, it would be about $1,000. I did mention there's no survey yet from CMP regarding the solar on Secaucus. Okay, couple of things. The big printer, scanner, copier next door has been, well, it'll scan, but it can't copy and print because we haven't been able to get cartridges from BEU, the people that we have our agreement with. I ordered a cartridge today for just over $200. We get them as part of our agreement, okay? But it's been 2 months now at least. I mean, it's supply and demand. They're having sourcing issues. I would suggest at this point that we cancel our contract with BEU. We own that printer, and we just have a service contract. The printer itself is kind of on its last legs. I would suggest that we just cancel the contract. We usually get probably between 1 and 1.5 of these toner cartridges a year. So if we pay, say we pay $400 a year, and we're paying, no, I meant to look. Do you know, Debbie, what the BEU contract is costing us? Debbie, do you know what the BEU contract is costing us? Can you
I closed it.
take a, all right, I can look.
Can we get the money we paid because they couldn't fulfill the contract?
Unlikely, I would say, but it's certainly worth an ask. I don't know. Give me a second here.
They're just claiming supply chain
Yeah, they
issues
can't
type
get
of
them.
thing?
They can't get them. I mean, this is from Xerox.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're buying them from somebody else. Somebody else got them, right?
Right, right.
We paid a total of $902.32.
For annual?
That for the year.
Okay. So if we pay $400 a year for 2 toner cartridges,
$75.20.
then we're coming out ahead. And when the printer
Except that we have
dies-
no service on the contract,
Yeah,
on the printer.
but, I mean, they've been out in the last 5 years twice. That's all.
But you're recommending,
I'm recommending we
printer.
cancel the contract and ultimately a new printer.
what's a new printer gonna,
Well,
any
I
idea?
don't know. My guess is we can get one. I mean, we could use something similar to what Debbie has. We might want something a little more robust because we do quite a bit with
Yep.
town reports and zoning ordinances. For $2,000, I would guess we can get something
Reasonable
pretty
printer,
healthy.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so anyways, the new cartridge will hopefully be here tomorrow. And I don't know, do we need concurrence on canceling the contract, or how do you feel about that? Or
What are the cancellation
it's just a monthly contract?
agrees? So there's no lease or
No.
agreement for a year or type of thing?
Nope.
We'll just write them a letter saying we're gonna due to your non-performance, we're gonna cancel the
Yeah,
contract and
that's-
send us $200.
Right. Like I say, I wouldn't count on that, but that's probably a good idea. So we okay doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You think we should do it?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Okay, the other thing that Danielle mentioned is a scanner for voter registration cards. The only thing I would like to find out is whether this is going to be compatible with their new system. There is a new voter registration system that the state's implementing and will go into service next year. And I would just like Danielle to do a little checking to find out if this is going to be compatible.
How does that scan, what does it scan?
It scans your voter registration card,
Yeah.
and that becomes part of your voter registration
so then-
record online.
If you do absentee, then would your ballot be scanned? Would
Your
that?
ballot won't be
I
scanned.
mean, well,
No.
the signature. Would
No.
that be scanned against the?
It would, if there's any question, it can be compared against the signature.
But there's no automatic scanning.
No. Nope.
What do we do it for?
Well, it's a requirement, first of all.
Okay,
One of those
I don't know if that answers the question, but.
unfunded mandates. Yeah, it's just part of the voter registration system. The other thing is when somebody moves from one town to another,
Right.
if you're not sure that it's the same person, because you want to keep the same, start with the same record if it is the same person.
Right.
Because it keeps their history. You can look at their signatures and see if their signatures match.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, I looked at one of the scanners that it appears the majority of people are using, and it's about a $700 investment. So that's why I'd like to know if it's going to work.
And this would only get used during voting?
No, it gets used whenever anybody registers to vote.
Okay,
Yeah.
but just voting,
Just voting,
not
yeah.
cars or boats or,
Nope.
okay.
No, I mean, it could be used for other scanning purposes. But
Okay.
in general, it's not a heavyweight machine, so it wouldn't be used. Yeah, that's
Okay.
really its only purpose. All right, then the last thing I wanted to mention, and Jesse was here, but he isn't now. I've noticed a lot of docks still in the water around the ponds. And they were supposed to be out November 1st. And it seems to me that ought to be addressed.
Okay.
How,
Hmm?
how do you want that addressed?
I used to send letters. I'd go around the ponds and find out who owns the docks and send them letters, because most of them are absentee owners. I mean, they're not residents. There are some that are. And just a letter and give them, I mean, it needs to be done soon. It needs to be done before the lake ice is over.
Or they'd have a little difficulty.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, Jesse's coming to the executive session
okay, well,
to.
all right. I can bring that up with him.
And you mentioned there was no word on the generator.
Right, yep. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I did not have a chance to try and get in touch with them today. But I will do that.
All right. Mr. Maycomer.
I just had one question. The November 28th meeting for SRU, where is that? Where is that being held?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it's here somewhere, Harv.
I can give him the email.
The rescue barn. All right. I don't know. I think, did David mention he's on his way or whatever?
I'm talking to him.
Well, he could have called, I don't know, he could have emailed you. Not today, all right. So, we'll have a,
Because he was scheduled for 4:45. Take a break.
I was just gonna say, folks, we're just gonna be chatting until executive session, so I won't close the meeting because it has to go on after executive session, but
If the board's comfortable, we could talk about some of the changes that you volunteered to the agreement. I reviewed them, David sent it to me. Would that be a good use of your time?
I don't know.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay,
Come on over.
thank you.
This is Ms. Hart, who is the,
That's not, no, that's Mr. Stacy's.
this is Ms. Hart, who is the
Thank you.
attorney for the prospective purchaser of the mill.
Thank you, Chairman Bauer. Nice to see you, members of the board. Yes, my name is Laura Hartz. I'm an attorney with Drummond Woodsum. I represent Mark and Scott Mounts, prospective buyers. And we received the most recent draft of the purchase and sale agreement and post-closing agreement that your counsel sent to me. Thank you. I did have a couple of questions about some of the changes. I just wanted to get to know the board's rationale. And it's totally fine for you to say you'd like to discuss with your counsel when he arrives in a couple of minutes. Just trying to make use of your time. So one of the big changes that I noticed was the purchase price. So, and forgive me if this is old history, rehashing old history, but
This is very old history sometimes.
yes. I've come to understand that,
Yeah.
piecing together the tea leaves or the records. But so it looks like, according to the original proposal, that
Is there a page? Is there a page?
on the purchase and sale agreement itself, I'm looking at bottom page 2,
Okay.
paragraph 3A, purchase price. So what we had written was the $1 purchase price, and then the escrow agreement amount of $100,000.
Right.
Right, and so I was trying to understand why the changes that you proposed changed the purchase price to $100,000.
It's actually $1.
Because it's actually $1.
Right, we didn't,
No.
No, we didn't.
No.
Well,
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's the 100,000 to be an escrow
Yes,
at closing,
yes, yep.
and the purchase price is still $1.
Okay, so maybe there's just a little misunderstanding between counsel and client, which is totally normal on this kind of thing. So the changes that I see here say the purchase price is $100,000, not $1.
right.
So, of course, my client was like, oh my, very
Well,
different.
100,000 plus,
Yeah, right.
plus another 100,000 for escrow. So really, you're,
Let's
Right.
not go there.
Right, let's not go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, yeah. But so, again, how we paper this really works out to whatever we need to do, but the idea is that we pay $1, as
Correct.
was the offer, in response to the RFP. And we also pay $100,000,
correct,
which goes into the escrow account.
right.
Now to the escrow account, I have two questions, really. One, what are the allowed expenses that can be reimbursed to buyer from the escrow account? So, in the original post-closing and escrow agreement, and I say original, it's original to when I've been involved. So
Okay.
when I sent a document to you, so October 24, I think was the date of this document. Paragraph 2, the bottom of page 1, described the allowed expenses. They're called qualified expenses. Now, this language, I admit I lifted it from the agreement that David Hastings had sent to me in his file. And I'm sorry, can you remind me of the mill committee member's name? Doug?
Dan Flynn.
Dan Flynn. So apparently, and please, Mr. Mounts, feel free to chime in if it's more direct. David Hastings and the mill committee member, Dan Flynn, had worked to identify what kind of expenses would be reasonable expenses to be reimbursed to my client. And so that language from their agreement, I put into this agreement. And so what they had and what's replicated here, which was then deleted in your most recent version is this. Parties agree that qualifying expenses include but are not limited to fees and costs for attorney's fees and closing costs incurred in connection with acquisition of the property, professional services rendered in connection with redevelopment for engineers, consultants, designers, and architects, labor and materials associated with infrastructure improvements, structural repairs, building improvements, renovation or repair for any buildings or improvements, including fixtures and furnishings, equipment required to stabilize and repair the property, personnel and security services for the subject property, marketing and public relations services in furtherance of redevelopment, insurance for redevelopment, including flood insurance, general liability, builder's risk, etc. Let's see. The costs associated with the application for or transfer or modification of any permits and approvals, including environmental permits necessitated by redevelopment or sale, and any other reasonably related expenses or cost incurred by buyer. So that definition, in comparison to the most recent definition, well, it's just a phrase actually, it's not a
Well,
line.
that's from maybe 9 years ago, maybe.
Let's see, 2018, 4 years ago, yes.
Yeah,
A
I
long
think
time ago.
what-
Yeah.
what we did was go
Yeah.
back to the original agreement, which was never signed.
Yes.
But the original, I mean, all those additional things, other than what's in our current version, were news to me.
I see.
First of all, let me say, I was not at last week's meeting. I had election duties to tend to. But those, basically, it was for capital improvements.
I see.
Those
Okay.
were the things that were allowed in the escrow, or to be paid by the escrow.
And that's what we've been talking about for
In executive
3 or
session.
4 years,
Oh.
that it's just capital improvements. In fact,
Okay.
I do not recall Dan even presenting that to the select board and getting approval for
it
that.
doesn't sound like Dan.
No. No,
Okay.
but you
But-
can't, say
Sure.
you're gonna do something outside, and it would've definitely come in
No
here.
problem, yeah.
So I don't think.
He was our first, I guess, original contact, and then from there, we got hold of Dave Hastings.
Yeah.
And they had some back and forth,
Yeah.
so it didn't speak with him.
And Dan
that's-
probably left him in the meantime,
That,
retired.
yeah. But what I think, what was throwing me was, if you go back to the one that was sent out to us on July 11th, one of the terms about that was, it says, for expenses incurred by the buyer for infrastructure improvements and structural repairs directly related to the herein described
That's
property.
capital improvements.
Well, yeah, but it says for expenses incurred, so I think from there, that's where it got elaborated on, is my understanding was, from that for expenses incurred, which wasn't just strictly related to capital improvements as far as physical attachments to the building or whatever. So it
It was-
did have in there that language for expenses incurred, and that's how we've kind of operated ever since we've been over there with some of the emergency things that have had to do. We repaired the roof on the barn, and we got that equipment out of there because it was in danger of collapsing. So
And I-
it's those type of things that are like related to helping the situation. And so that's where, like I said, we've all along kind of leaned on that, where it's for expenses incurred by the buyer for infrastructure, certainly towards infrastructure and that type of thing, but just like the beam that we had to replace because the column was damaged, we had to get structural engineering for it. So we got
Right.
an engineer involved, and those costs are directly associated with any capital improvements.
This is after the purchase, we get the 100,000. From then on, that's when capital things will come into play. Right now, you're just leasing it, you do whatever you wanna do.
Yeah, this is just gonna go back and forth. I
Yeah.
think we need to talk to our lawyer
Yeah.
about this before we go any further on it.
I think we're just explaining where the history.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
where-
yeah, no, I-
Where in our thought, as we understood it.
Yeah.
and as time went on.
Yep,
So
fair
It sounds
enough.
like a definitional question.
Mark, when you did the purchases, though, why didn't you come and say something to the select board? Say anything about that?
About what?
If you felt that the town was supposed to be reimburse you, nothing was ever said.
We're
But he
early.
likes you.
I'd be worried if you didn't. Oh, it smells my breath.
Would you like my chair? I can move over. We were just talking,
Take the draw.
just to catch you up, we were talking about the purchase and sale agreement, trying to just, they had finished early, so I was here to answer questions and,
I thought you were coming after the executive session.
oh, well, I could be next week, we had a
You
little,
are Mr.
oh, sorry,
Mark.
Mark.
That's Mark.
One of the brothers,
Yeah.
yes, Mark Mouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ms. Hartz did start this whole process with saying, if you're uncomfortable about anything we're discussing, we can put it on hold and talk about it in our executive session. So-
I sent her a comparison of where we were
Exactly.
Yeah,
recently. I don't know if I could share with you or not, but anyway, we can just go through it and see. It'd probably be better if I did it with you guys alone.
yeah, yeah,
And give you advice, but,
yeah.
And that's exactly what I was asking them about, the comparison document. So I'm happy to step out. How do you normally do executive sessions? Is that
Yeah, just
usually-
the
Right here.
Normally,
Okay.
they normally do it here and they take a vote. I don't know if you ever been to that. They have to take a public vote on it.
Oh,
To go
yeah.
into executive
Yep.
session.
Right.
That makes sense, and probably to come out, sure.
Did you have the board? Yeah.
After they come out. There's another executive session item I want to talk about. It's
Sure.
litigation.
Yep,
Right.
yeah, no problem. Well, we'll be in the hallway then. Do you wanna?
Ready to start?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we went through all of the rest of our agenda, so
You don't feel like you need your third member, huh?
he is out today. He will not be here.
Or Jesse?
Yeah, Jesse's out. Yeah,
Did you say that he was joining for the executive session? So-
He was planning on, but it got changed this morning.
Oh,
Family emergency.
You're gonna be back, right?
yeah, I'm just gonna be in the hallway.
Okay, while you're in the hallway,
Yeah,
you might wanna review this.
which the temporary mill lease agreement,
Uh,
the TMLA?
yeah, signed on the 18th.
Yes,
I sent you letters.
yes.
And it has terms and
Lease
conditions
with
and
option, I'll check it out. Yep, thank you.
things about by being responsible for, insurances, snow removal,
Yep,
all sorts of good things.
all right.
So,
I'll take a look, thank you. Oh, I have a copy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I asked for this executive session because it seemed like we worked on the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
The escrow
Yeah.
expenses, I think, is the
All
real
right, so
Well,
question.
do you have a motion to go into
well, I'm
executive
going to
session?
do that in
Okay.
1 second.
Oh, okay. All right.
Would like to make a motion to go into executive session to attorneys to discuss revision of mill documentation. We need a 60% vote.
So you have 100% or not?
Yeah, that's right.
So Mr. Bauer, you're
I'm
for the
in favor.
motion?
Yes.
And the other Mr. Bauer is for the motion. We have a Bauer squared is for the motion.
Okay.
Which one of you is the square?
I don't know, probably me. All right, folks, so if Dave, we'll be going to executive session.
Don't bang your gavel,
Why not?
because we're not closing anything, Ed.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I could bang it twice and get it
Yeah.
reestablished.
Yeah.